Okay, let me unmute you. Let me unmute you. All right. Say something.
Hello, can you hear me? Good evening.
Yes, yes, I can hear you. Let me introduce Dr. E to you. Dr. E is one of my sisters from Fearless Visionary, and so she's the one who is going to give us kind of like a personal journey towards postpartum depression. So Dr. E, meet Dr. Jide.
Hello, very nice to meet you.
Hello, nice to meet you. Good afternoon and good evening from here in the United Kingdom. Are we on live now on Facebook?
Yes, we are live. If you go to go on your cell phone, and go in the group, you'll see. It's still black, but you'll see it there. We are live there now.
Thank you so much, and nice to meet you all.
Same here.
Try to.
Yeah, because I saw it earlier. Let me see. Yeah, it's right there. It's right there. So scroll down, you'll see us right there. So what you'll do is you can double click on it so that you can see comments, but make sure you turn off the audio.
Okay.
Turn off the audio of on your Facebook. Hello everybody. Thank you for joining Cecile. Thank you for joining Elizabeth. Thank you for joining argh. Thank you for joining. Okay. We'll make sure that if we're watching via this, we turn off the audio here so that it doesn't echo.
Okay.
And as one person speaks, we mute each other. As one person speaks, we mute each other. Okay. So that, say Dr. E knows she knows the game already. She already muted herself.
So, okay, got it.
So yeah, it went well, right? Easy, right? It wasn't as difficult as we thought, right? So thank God for that. Hey, Cecile, thank you for joining. Uchenna, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. Thank you all for joining. Please do share. Comfort, thank you for joining. If you guys can do a watch party on your Facebook. Please, we so appreciate it. For those of you who have been following Dr. Jide forever, yeah, this is your time now to really show the power of us inside of your $1 million group. All right, so I call it $1 million group. So this is your time to show your power here. So please do a watch party on your own personal Facebook. Roxy, welcome. Cecile, welcome. Thank you for joining. Dr. Jide, are you seeing them on yours? Are you seeing the comments? No? Okay, go.
My phone, yeah, no, I'll use my iPhone now.
Okay. Blessing, thank you. Tracy, thank you. Everybody, please, as you come in, we ask that you do a watch party. Do a watch party so that we can blow this thing up. Do a watch party. For those of you who have been, Ayo, Tope, Titi Lope, welcome. Thank you. Thank you all so much for joining. Thank you so much. All right. So when you're good to go, I'm good to go, Dr. Jide.
Okay. So thank you, Dr. Fumi, and thank you, Dr. Eve, and thank you so much for finding the time. I know it was so impromptu. It was so close to the call. At least find time this evening to chat together and to address most important issues that pertain to female gynecological health, which are actually maternal health. Unfortunately, as we all know in Nigeria, even mostly, especially all over the world, mental health is not really put in the forefront until it matters most. And so we need, and we're trying to ensure that people are aware of these things and their important place, the importance of such in our lifestyle, especially back home in Africa, even in the diaspora. So that's the purpose of tonight's meeting. And if you're here, wherever you're watching from, whether in Nigeria, in Ghana, Zimbabwe, Kenya, wherever you might be, even in diaspora, even in the United Kingdom, anywhere in America, try and bring your friends, share this post, and let us talk about those things. It's wonderful to get Dr. Fumi here, and even Dr. Heath as well. And Dr. Chukwudi, my colleague here in Florida, on this Ask Getting Encouraged, is going to come up to live as well tonight. And, you know, I will leave the floor open now to Dr. Fumi. I'm aware in Nigeria of issues with a cost of using data, so we'll try and keep this presentation to, you know, we try and get it complete as much as possible. If you, for some reason, you put it out of this live show on Facebook, don't worry, don't panic. You can always come back here. This is for our viewers. You can always come back here to watch this post all over again. We'll keep it on live. We'll get it archived and put it on our cloud on Amazon. So don't panic at all. If you have any other programs open on your phone, close any unused apps on your phone and ensure you're in a place, your location, in your house, at work, where you can get the best reception and you can get this program and discussion clearly listened to without any interruption. And like I said again, don't panic. If you have any questions, we'll give you time to answer the questions. We'll also create time to ensure that we answer all your questions. You matter to us. We love you from our heart. And that's why we've created time tonight to be here with you and to talk with you and to share these important things with you. Thank you, everybody, and welcome from us here at ATG. We love you and thank you for being here. I'll hand the floor back to Dr. Fumi now to start, and then we'll get it all started. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you all so much. I'm going to take the time to quickly share my desktop right now because I really believe that the information that we're going to give today, it needs, if anyone is like me, I like to see things. And when I see things, I can follow better. And I know that that's a lot of the things that Dr. Jide and Dr. Chuks do a lot here. You do a lot of presentations where people are able to see and they can understand. So just bear with me as I share my desktop with everybody now. Let's see. All right. Can you all see my desktop, Dr. E? I'm going to use you as the sounding board and Dr. Jide. Can you see?
I can see.
Okay. So today we're going to talk a little bit about postpartum depression. That's what we're going to talk about today. All right. So the topic is understanding the postpartum blues, right? People call it the blues. In America, they call it the blues. In Europe and Africa, they say, oh, it's the blues. Okay, when somebody just have a baby and the person is staying by themselves, they say, oh, don't touch her because she's going through her blues. So what happens when you are feeling down after delivering your baby? This is our topic today.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Now, here's the thing. This is my first time for coming in here. So it's always important for you to understand who is in front of you, who is in the presence of you, speaking and representing. Who am I? What qualifies me to discuss this topic? I'm just going to go briefly through it. Number one, I'm a board-certified psychiatric mental health doctor of nurse practice here in the U.S. I've been in psychiatric field for over 25, actually not even 20, I think it's almost 30 years now. I started off as a social welfare staff and then later went back to school for my baccalaureate degree in nursing. Now, I was in Nigeria, right? So I went to University of Ife. So yeah, Ife. Any of you that is here, yeah, I know Ibadan and Lagos. It's always a competition there. But yeah to everybody there. So I went to University of Ife, studied English. Writing is something that I love. I love to care. But back then, nursing was not really something that people were proud of. They were proud of, oh, my son, my daughter went to do, medicine. But nursing was just not something that people were completely proud of. And so I came to the United States hoping that this will give me an opportunity to actually just practice and do what I wanted to do. I think somebody is on. Somebody's live. Let me mute Dr. Okay, let me mute Dr. Jide. I think you are echoing through it. And do me a favor, Dr. Jide. If Dr. Chuks wants to come in, let me know because I have to patch him in. I'm not going to be able to see the way I am right now, the way I'm set up. Yeah, I won't be able to see him. So when he wants to come in, just let me know. All right, so I started off as a social welfare, right? I practice right now. I practice in 3 states in the United States. I I'm board certified in 3 states in the US. I've written 24 books, with 14 becoming a bestseller. The latest one is called Tear the Veil, where we have 18 powerful women. One of them is Dr. E that is sitting right in front of you right now, where we have them come together telling their stories of abuse, their stories of injustice, their stories of genital cotton. I mean, so many stories that, you know, when you get a chance, pick that book up. I think it's going to really change your lives here. Now, what qualifies me again? Let's talk a little bit more about that. This is my story. My very first encounter with depression was here in the United States when I was probably in my very early 20s. I'm just going to summarize it. I attempted to, after a bad relationship, after a bad, just a terrible experience with marriage, you know, I tried to commit suicide. I was mentally unstable for 6 months, and people back home did not know that. They were looking for me. They did not know. I had lost my businesses now. When I say two businesses, those were major businesses, were more than $250,000 businesses back in the 90s. I'd lost that to my marriage. You know, I've been thrown out of my home and became homeless. Here you are, an African princess living in diaspora, now thrown out with 2 babies in her hands, not knowing where to go. I was divorced at 26, right? I tried to publish my book. I was rejected over 40 times. I wrote a screenplay. It got stolen in Hollywood. I mean, so all these things, which I call a deep freezer story, got me into a place where I began to really think about my life and say, well, how can I impact the world with my story? How can I change lives? Where it's not just about writing the story, but actually holistically looking from a perspective of a nursing, how can I better help other people who are in the throes of committing suicide, depression, and all that. And this is how I came up with website DMP. Went back to school and got my doctorate degree in Doctor of Nurse Practice. Now, how many of you know that there's always light at the end of the tunnel? So I don't want people looking at me and saying, oh my God, what happened? But the truth is, because of that, I am who I am today because of all those experiences that I have. Right now, I'm a writer. I've written over 24 books. 14 have been bestseller, 2 fiction, 22 non-fiction. Book 1 have been adapted into a film, actually 2 at this point now, and both have won at least 5 Hollywood awards. Now I license my brand out as fashion and accessories, books, and empowerment events. So there is light at the end of the tunnel, right? There is life after depression. If you are listening to me right now, I want you to hang in there because there is life after depression. Now, some of you might not be pregnant right now. And you're saying, well, what does this have to do with me? They're talking about postpartum depression. I want you to know that what we're going to share today, it also applies to you if you are being depressed right now, right? With the state of what's going on in Africa, that can depress anybody at this point. So we want to be able to discern the difference between, right, a chemically imbalanced, right, depression and just somebody just depressed about something that is going on in your life. These are a few wonderful things that have happened in my life since I got a hold of my depression. Since I understood what depression was and I was able to tackle it heads on. I didn't sit in it. I didn't die out of it, but I was able to tackle it. Since then, I've been featured in so many, including NTA International, for those of you who are in Africa, those who are in Europe and abroad here. I have not even put a lot of the ones that I just did recently. I've been featured in a lot of places. I've won African Oscar since then. These are just a few of the places that I've been featured. And of course, last year I got a chance to go and spend 1 year in Saudi, where I ended up on the TED Talk as the #1, the very first African American, African, anything, person, woman there on the stage of TED Talk Al-Anja in in Saudi, and my title was "Let Your Passion Speak You Forward." That was what my title was. All right, here's my second encounter with depression. We're gonna go right into the right now. My second encounter with depression happened, I think it's over 30 years ago, where I was in one place. It was a building in New York City. I entered into that building, and there was this young Nigerian lady, pregnant lady. She must have been probably around 28, and she was somebody that someone had introduced to me weeks prior. So when I saw her, I saw a familiar face, and I said, "Oh my God, a familiar face, how are you?" And all of a sudden, it was as if she was in psychosis. And she started talking, "Oh my God, they won't let me rest. They won't let me rest." And I said, "What? Who won't let you rest?" Now, at that point, I didn't even know what clinical depression was. I didn't understand what psychosis was. And I was just trying to figure out what was going on with her. And she kept saying, "They won't let me rest. Oh, all the noise, all the loud noise, and she just went on and on and on. And after a while, she retreated back to herself. And when the elevator stopped, she walked out, and that was it. The next time when I heard about her, I heard that she was arrested for trying to throw a baby 3 stories down. She was living 3 stories. She had the baby, and she was hanging the baby at the window like this, by the leg, just hanging the baby. Right, got ready to just throw that baby down there. And thank God that the fire brigade and everybody were able to get there on time so that they could rescue the baby. This was my first encounter with, my goodness, what kind of this is now we know in Africa now, you know me now. So me in Africa, I'm saying, what in Russia seal, my God. So I'm already saying, "Oh my God," let me translate what I just said. For those of you who didn't hear that, who don't know Yoruba, I said, "Oh my God, they have sent for her. They have really sent for her now. Oh, they have fired the arrow from Nigeria." So, here I'm saying, "Oh my God, who you see that arrow that I have out there? That's the way I felt that day. My goodness, they have fired the arrow. Who is going to save this girl here from here?" So let's talk a little bit about it. What is postpartum depression? I have Dr. E here because with me, when I do a presentation, I always like to have like a real life person who can apply what we're talking about, that can share their real life story, so that I always believe, like myself, I might not remember all the presentation, but I would always remember the story that somebody says. And this is where I have Dr. E here to say it. I'm going to tell her when to jump on this now. So what is postpartum depression? Let's look at that. Depression that occurs after childbirth. That's what, it's simply put, it's depression that occurs after childbirth. Now, here are some facts that we need to understand before we even go into this. Number one, those who develop postpartum depression, they are at greater risk for major depression later on in life. That's fact one. When you develop it and you don't treat it and you let it slide by, you have a greater chance of developing major depression later on in your life. Number two is the good news. And the good news is it's treatable. It is treatable. So when we are in Africa, right, thinking, "Oh my God, we don't want," because in the African culture is a silent culture where we can't tell anybody what's going on, because if we tell anybody what's going on, then it becomes the whole family issue. Now, the family is worried that, look at how everybody's looking at us. They think we are all crazy in this house. But the thing is, we are evolving. Life is evolving. Things are changing. You don't know how many times I've heard stories of people trying to commit suicide in Nigeria. Even we had one lady that tried to jump off the bridge in Lagos. Things are happening. We can no longer close our eyes to what we have in front of us. And I take this time to really thank Dr. Jide and Dr. Chooks for really looking at this, because they specialize in gynecology. And the truth is, all of this is all intertwined. All of this is intertwined. So thank you for bringing us in to begin to spark the conversation on this. So number 3, do not self-diagnose yourself. I know we're very used to just saying, oh, I have a headache. Oh, give me that Tylenol. Yeah, give me 4 right there. That will go away. No, postpartum depression will not go away with your Tylenol. It will not go away with your Panadol. Panadol will not do this situation for you. It's something that requires medical or psychiatric diagnosis. It requires a diagnosis. You cannot diagnose yourself in your own bedroom. Number 4, know that you are not alone. Because either we like it or not, even though we live in a silent culture in Africa, it is very common across the globe, including Africa, that you're watching right now. It is very common. Some of you that are watching right now, I'm sure you're nodding your head because you are right in the throes of it yourself. If you're not pregnant, or if you've not had your baby, or if you have not had baby before, you're probably going through some kind of depression. All right. So number 5, in silent cultures like Africa, it usually goes undiagnosed. So there's no shame in this game, y'all. Seek help. Number 6, if you treat this on time, trust me, it will resolve within months. But if you do not treat it, well, you are in for a lifetime of agony. So you either treat it in the front end, like I did with mine, like Dr. E did with hers, and that because of that, because we took that thing and we handled it in the front end, we're able to sit in front of you today and do what we're doing. Number 7, it doesn't require any lab test. So in case you are worried, particularly those in Africa and Nigeria, say, oh my God, the money that I'm going to use to go and do all this lab work, no, it doesn't require, it requires psychiatric diagnosis, but it doesn't require lab tests. All right? There's no imaging that is required. So if somebody is telling you go and get imaging because of, now, if you have a problem with your brain, that's a different story that I won't mind coming back to talk about, but it doesn't require that. There is power in numbers. I always believe in statistics, right? So globally, 1 in 9 new mothers have postpartum depression. 1 in 9. That's a lot. That's a lot, which means that, look at it, Dr. Jide, you have about 1.5 million in your group. Think about it. 1 in 9 of the women in this group have this. They might not be telling anybody, but 1 in 9 have it. In the US, there's more than 3 million US cases per year that is recorded. Now, I was really happy to see that there are some studies that are going on in Nigeria with postpartum depression and depression as a whole. And so I was able to pull 2 case studies, one in Nigeria as a whole, and then just Nigeria specifically. 875 women were recruited, 14.6 diagnosed. Now, let me say this, 14.6, I can guarantee you that we can safely say times 2, because out of that 875, there will be at least a quarter that did not tell the truth. because they are afraid of, oh my God, somebody might find out. So if we hear that it's 14.6, then it's quite likely to be double. Then another one was done in Jos, and that one was a little bit high, right? 21.8, which means that what the theory that we're thinking about is true. It's quite likely that out of that 550 women, right, a quarter did not tell the truth either. So we know that this is prevalent in Africa. we can no longer be silent about it. Now, one thing that was also interesting in Africa was the fact that they said that in their study, they found the association between postpartum depression with age, with the marital status of that woman, the type of marriage of that woman, and the educational level. Now, I mean, let's think about it for a second, right? If you look at with age, right? I was a very young mother at 23. My very first child I had at 23, 24, something like that, right? I didn't know, I had no clue. I was married too young. I had absolutely no clue what I was doing. And then to top it all, I was not in Africa where my parents could actually keep an eye on me, right? They could keep an eye on myself and my then husband. But we were here winging the whole thing. So when depression comes in, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing. All right. Marital status, when you're going through divorce, well, I don't think that helped either. When you're having problems in your marriage, it doesn't help either. Those are triggers. Those are triggers. So how do you know that you have postpartum depression? This is where I'm going to get, once I'm done here, I'm going to bring in Dr. E, because I want her to be the classic case for us. How do you know, right? Your body, your mind, they go through many changes. Well, I mean, Dr. Jide can tell us that. He's always talking about all the changes that our body goes through, right, during and after pregnancy. I hear him a lot when he breaks it down. He's always going through that. So bottom line is, most women do get baby blues, right? I remember when I had my first child, I first was excited. And then when it was like the last day of me leaving the hospital, I got a little depressed because I was thinking, here I am, you know, a kid myself with a baby, and I'm going home. I wasn't too sure if I wanted to go home with the baby. All right. So baby blues is a natural thing. It's something that happens, right? But here's the thing. The difference is when you start to feel sad and empty, right? And if this thing is going on, lingering on for, more than 3 to 5 days, then it's time for you to seek help. Then you know that there might be something other than just baby blues going on. So Dr. E, I want you to come in now. I want you to just share with the audience your own personal experience. Just keep it to like maybe 3 to 5, and then we'll just finish up and look for questions.
First, let me thank everyone for allowing me to be here, and thank you, Dr. Princess Fumi Hancock, for this knowledge-based conversation, and to the Dr. Alalade.
Yes, you got it.
Alalade. Thank you so very much for this opportunity. As I looked at the statistics, they are alarming. They are on point. I do believe that this conversation is absolutely necessary. As for me, I'm a mother of 4. And with each child, I went through some level of baby blues, but there was something very different about the second baby. And that largely was in part to the complexity of my situation, my carrying the birth, the carrying of the baby, and then the delivery of the baby, and then all of those things associated with the birth afterwards. I think that although we have all of these baby blue moments, there's also these complex situations. And I want to just talk a little bit about my situation, which was I was a placenta previa. I had carried a baby until 8 months, but I had a condition called placenta previa. As a result of that, my baby would not come here natural through the vaginal birth. I understood that it was a very dangerous maternal situation where my placenta preceded the baby, which means that my cervical os was completely covered. Because of that, I endured months and months of bleeding, and the larger my baby got, the more I bled. It led to blood transfusion. So I had a very, very complex maternal situation. And then and then spending time in the hospital. Because of that, I was admitted to the hospital for a couple of months because it was dangerous after receiving the blood transfusion. There was the fear of me losing my life or losing the baby. And so I was admitted to the hospital, and of course I stayed there for too long, 2.5 months. And during this time, my depression just got worse and worse, just because of a situation that I was enduring as a pregnant mom. And then once I had my baby, that situation, because I had a cesarean, which tripled my situation. Not only now did I spend time in the hospital, very complex situation, but I had to have surgery, not just a vaginal birth, but a surgery. So now I'm dealing with all of this, and the fact that I have a premature baby, a 4.5, 4'11", I think she was, 4.5 she was at birth, trying to nurse my baby. So I am even though this situation may not be everyone's situation, I think it's important to talk about how complex situations can be for some mothers. And in this case, it was very complex for me, which means that now I have to adjust and adapt to trying to take care of a premature baby while just leaving a hospital from being there for 2 months, then having to deal with recovery from surgery, dealing with the fact that I had a 2-year-old toddler at home as well. Or was he 3? The 3-year-old toddler who had not seen me for months. So I'm dealing with all of the, the psychological effects of separation, anxiety, separation from my child, separation now, new birth, trying to feed this baby who won't latch, loving my baby, but I really don't want to be bothered with this baby right now. I really just don't want to be bothered. So I'm going to take care of her. I'm going to do whatever I can, but I don't want to be bothered. So in my situation, I had thoughts. I would take care of her and make sure she was okay and put her down. But my husband, thank God, I had a support system, even though we were still going through, like you said, you mentioned also not to mention if you're going through marital issues. So my dynamics were very serious in this situation. And so I thank God, though, that there was someone there who saw that there was something not right about what was going on with my relationship with my child, and that was my husband. He literally realized that, hey, she's not connecting, she's off, she's really off, something's off. And so he would come home every day from lunch, and he would take off his shirt and skin to skin and bond with the baby, because he noticed I just wasn't doing it. I was disconnected completely with this birthing process, with this opportunity to bond with this new baby. As much as I loved her, my mental faculty and my status changes were far removed. And so I was really struggling. And this went on for probably about 4 to 6 months. And again, support is priceless. And unless you have that, very dangerous consequences can result depending on the complexity of that childbirthing process. And that's my story. And I thank God that I had someone there, and now she's a beautiful first-time mother herself, surviving and knowing that I loved her regardless of what I was going through. But now we can also give back by serving in those roles ourselves and see the signs.
Let me unmute myself and just click on the share. Wow, thank you so much for sharing that with us. I really truly appreciate that. My goodness, whoa. So let's look at that. Let's look at the warning signs, right? Let's look at the warning signs, because there are some warning signs that you mentioned, Dr. E. You were far removed. You were you were looking at the baby like the baby was a stranger to you. Like, okay, who is this outer body experience that is sitting in front of me? So what are the warning signs? If your baby blues do not go away, you feel sad, you feel hopeless, if it lasts longer than 2 weeks, you are in jeopardy. All right? If you feel empty, emotionless, which one of the things that you mentioned, Dr. E, was emotionless, or you're sad all or most of the time, for longer than 2 weeks, during or after your pregnancy, you are in jeopardy. If you feel like you don't love or care for that baby, right? Dr. E, you mentioned that too, right? You are in jeopardy. Let's look at the signs and the symptoms. The signs and the symptoms are the things that you see, that you experience, both physically and mentally. Insomnia, right? You do not sleep. You just lack sleep. Or you're sleeping too little, or you're sleeping too much. You can have both sides, all right? If you lose appetite, if you have intense, some will have intense irritation with everything around them, right? Difficulty bonding with the baby. Bam, you talked about that too, Dr. E. You had difficulty bonding with the baby. If you're having thoughts of hurting the baby, which is the experience that I saw with that lady in the elevator, that she ended up trying to throw the baby out of the window from a three-floor house. So having thoughts of hurting the baby, having thoughts of hurting yourself, if you're not having interest in that baby, not feeling connected whatsoever, if you're not feeling as if the baby is, you're feeling like the baby is somebody else's, you are in complete jeopardy. Now, let's look at those of you who are not pregnant that are going through depression. You can still apply this even without the baby, because somebody who is not involved in the baby, you want to retreat from people. You want to stay in your bedroom. You don't even want to get up and do anything. All right, you are in jeopardy. All right, mood, anger, anxiety, guilt, hopelessness, you're overwhelmed. Everything overwhelms you. What little thing like this, ooh, you're overwhelmed, right? You lost interest or pleasure in activity. Today you're hot, tomorrow you're cold. You have incredible panic attacks. All of these things, these are mood, right? Then you also have the behavioral part of it where I've seen people who will just continue to cry. I mean, every little thing makes them cry. They're restless. They're tired. They lack concentration, right? Weight gain, weight loss. They eat too much or they eat too little. They have no energy, no motivation. They have trouble focusing or making any decision. They have memory problems, right? Headaches, aches, pain, stomach problems. All of these things, all of this are things that you will experience as someone who's going through postpartum or depression as a whole. Now, what causes it? We're almost at the end. What causes it? Number one, hormonal changes. Now, Dr. Jide can talk a little bit to that, because when you're pregnant, there's all this estrogen, progesterone, all these things that's going on in your body, right? And not everybody adapts to it. So the very first 24 hours after childbirth, right? Here you are, your hormone have changed, and then the first 24 hours, then guess what? Boom, everything drops down again. And you're trying to find your normalcy, right? That is one school of thought. Another school of thought talked about our thyroid, right? Our thyroid hormones, that too may drop after we've given birth to our baby. Thyroid is a small gland in the neck. And what it does is it helps us to store energy from the food, right? So if you have low thyroid hormone, it can cause depression too. And that's why a lot of times when you say that you have depression, your medical director, your medical doctor will first look at your thyroid. They will look at your thyroid and see and make sure that there's no problem with your thyroid. What are the other causes, right? Tired after labor and delivery, tired from lack of sleep. Here you are, you have not slept for a whole long time, right? And now you have the baby and you're so tired, right? You're broken, you're overwhelmed. You have doubts, you have stress from changes in work and home. I told you about mine, because the first day I was elated, but then when they started saying, oh, you're going home tonight, oh my God. Then I started having all these panic attacks, like, I'm going home with a baby? Really? What am I going to do with this baby when I get home? So all of a sudden, I start feeling sad. Instead of me getting excited, I was feeling actually sad, right? If you have unrealistic need to be a perfect mom, there is no perfect mom. Let's just get it. Let's get it out of our system. Understand that we're only going to do the best we can, but there is no perfect mom. And many of us are trying to be perfect moms. And what's going to happen is you're going to be frustrated with your perfect self, and you're going to be depressed. Some of us, after having the baby, we look in the mirror and we feel like we're not as attractive as we were before. And so because of that, all that plays into our depression. You are also at risk if you have a personal history of depression. Some of us have undiagnosed history of depression or bipolar. We, at some point down the road, I'm going to talk a little bit about bipolar too, because that's something that people do not know the difference. All right. So some of us right now, we have family history of depression, but in Africa, they won't tell us. Half the time, our forefathers went to grave. They went to their grave with a secret. And so we have to wake up now and start trying to figure out what is the family history. So some of us have a family history of that. If we do not have support of our family or friends, right? Were you depressed during your pregnancy? Do you have problems? Do you have a history of having problems during your pregnancy or birth? Do you have relationship problem or money problem? Now, money problem, we set you on a on a path. Now, my African sisters and brothers do understand what I'm talking about. Money problem will give you a whole lot of headache, a whole lot of depression, and a continuous one. If the money problem continues to happen, which means it equals continuous depression. All right. And a lot of times people that are younger than 20, they catch it more too. If you're using illegal drugs, alcoholism, all those things, right? If you have a baby that has special needs like autism, all those things, if you're having difficulty breastfeeding. Now, let me tell you my own story with that breastfeeding thing. So I had C-section on both of my babies. The very first one, I had C-section after being in labor for 18 hours. Finally, they said, okay, let's have C-section before either this woman croaks or the baby croaks. So now I had the baby, then I had fever. So I could not feed, I could not breastfeed. So for 5 days, I could not breastfeed. By the time I was going into the following week, I wanted to breastfeed. This child was not having it. I tried to breastfeed it. It was like, no, this is too slow. Get me the milk and the bottle, please. Somebody, he was crying. And me, I wanted to experience the whole motherhood thing. I felt like I needed to breastfeed. If I wasn't breastfeeding, I wasn't a great mother. So I was forcing that breast on this child, and this child was frustrating me. So some of us right now, if you are trying to breastfeed and it's not working, well, I'm going to leave that to Dr. Jide and Dr. Chuks to talk to you about breastfeeding, right? If you have unplanned and unwanted pregnancy, that will cause depression, all right? So what should you do if you are experiencing these symptoms? Now, we're talking about solutions now. Number one, call your medical doctor. Call your nurse practitioner, your midwife, your pediatrician, all right? If your baby blues is not going away, you need to call. Do not sit at home, praying. Prayers work, but give me a break. Prayers work, but God has also given us this to also use. This is also part of what God has given us. The knowledge that God has given people like Dr. Jide, Dr. Chuks, myself, and Dr. E, and everybody, those knowledge, they were given for a reason too. It's part of healing. It's a part of the healing thing. So do not stay at home. Seek help. All right? When you know all the symptoms that we've been talking about, symptoms of depression that begin within 1 year, and then it just keeps going. If it's difficult to work or things, you're having problems getting things done at home, seek help. All right? If you get to, now this is the extreme, where you get to a point where you feel like hurting yourself or hurting the baby. That's an extreme, but it does happen. It does happen. Your treatment depends on the severity of your issue. So there are 3 or 4 major treatment things that I see here. One is therapy. Now, thank God that I'm beginning to ask. I was actually, recently, I was watching a Nigerian movie where they were actually, this couple went to a therapy. And I said, what? In Nigeria, they're actually doing therapy? And they sat in front of this therapist. I said, oh my, I need to go back home and try and figure out what, because if they're not, right, if they are, well, we need more of them. So they call it talk therapy, right? Support group. We need to have support group. And bottom line is, part of what Dr. Jide is doing here, this is a support group, actually, when you think about it, right? What he has here, even though it's over 1 million of you, is a support group, all right? So don't wait for people, don't wait for people to do things for you. Find a support group or create a support group for yourself. You have a support group here, all right? Then you have medication, which I don't want to talk about, frankly, with medication, because it's just because it's a slippery slope for me. And you have antidepressants, and you also have hormone therapy, which you will need to seek. You need to seek your nurse practitioner. You need to seek your medical director on that. But there are antidepressants that do help, and there are hormone therapy that help. And of course, you have the self-care, which is relaxation and things like that. Here's my conclusion. Screening of women in postpartum period for depression. This is the way that we can have early detection and the treatment of women of childbearing age. It is important that we do prevention, treat it in the front end so that it doesn't prolong itself in the back end. All right. So there are resources for you there. One is Mom's Mental Health Matters. You can always Google that, and that will take you into a website that has a lot of information for you. You have the helpguide.org, and of course, you also have my own group that we're starting off. It's new. It's fairly new. It's on Facebook now, and it's called Ask the Web Psych DMP. And the cool thing about Ask the Website DMP is you can come in and see videos. You can come in and see videos of fearless visionaries telling their stories of all this abuse and mental illness and wellness. You can ask questions. You can do a whole lot of things. You can find us on Twitter, Website DMP, Instagram, Ask the Website DMP, Facebook, Ask the Website DMP. Let's see now. Let's see. And I thank you for your time. Questions, we're going to take questions now. If you have questions for Dr. E, please post it too, because she's here to available to give you all, talk about her own experience and her expertise. Dr. Jide and Dr. Chuks, again, I want to thank you for having me here. I look forward to coming back again to share more, because I would like to talk about depression, not just depression, postpartum psychosis, because there's a difference between the psychosis and the depression. Dr. Jide, you want to say something? Let me unmute you. Okay, let me unmute you. Unmute. Yeah.
Hello, thank you so much, Dr. Fumi, for the discussion and for the explanation so far. A few bits I want to chip in here is, as we all know, the last millennium before this one was about infectious diseases. It's a ravaging effect on the people of the world. All those Black Death, the plagues, and all this decimated people everywhere. In this millennium, it's the mental disease that is ravaging continents, ravaging Nigeria especially. I've read reports of wives killing husband killing wives, children killing parents, people jumping off the bridge on the third mainland. The third mainland is a very long bridge, about 15 kilometers long in Lagos, over the Atlantic Ocean. People parking their SUVs and jumping into that big, mighty Atlantic Ocean and ending their lives for reasons that we don't understand, for reasons only God and them will understand. But despite all this in this millennium, and this is still an important thing, it's still affecting moms, affecting people, affecting men. I remember when my first daughter came, After all the elation and all the celebration, as soon as I got home, the first thing that dawned on me was, I'm now going to look after this child for the next 20 to 25 years. And it was a shock on me. So imagine me going through this, and then imagine what the lady is going through. So, and it took me a while to come to terms. When the baby wakes up at 3 a.m. to want to eat, the way babies cry, I think it's got a very, very high pitch that it wakes you up from the center of your brain.
Yeah.
And the disease, the number one symptom of every new parent is insomnia, lack of sleep. So it takes support. It takes people around yours to recognize this thing. And the number one reason why we are here tonight talking about this thing is number one thing. The number one cure of, the beginning of any cure of any disease in this world, whether infectious in the last millennium, whether mental problem in this millennium, is awareness.
That's right.
Once you're aware of the problem, the solution starts. Once there's no awareness, whether mental problem, whether medical, clinical, infectious problem, you're not going to treat that problem. But the first thing we're doing here, right here tonight is about awareness that there is a problem, that the problem has got a solution. And the number two thing people need to take away from here listening now is that there is no unique problem. There's no problem that has now been discovered. Like the Bible always says, there's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new in this age that's never happened before. Things may change in pattern, time to time, but there's nothing new. And number three is there is a solution. As far as the problem is here on this surface, on this terrestrial habitat, there's a solution to any problem, whether people with you, whether all those things. Now, Dr. Fumi said, what is the cause of these things? While she was talking, she made mention about hormones, progesterone, the estrogen, the thyroid hormones, and another hormone that is another major problem. It's good, it's bad, but it is one of the causes of this is adrenaline, and then no adrenaline. During pregnancy, doing all these things as a woman, as women are always aware, people are around you, surrounding you, all the baby shower, all the parties, everything around you. As soon as the baby is here, the party goes. It dawns on you that this is now your cause, in quotes. It's not your cause, but that's where it is in your mind. Wow, this is my problem. Suddenly, people start to flip up. As soon as the adrenaline is being withdrawn, the reality dawns. And some people are not able to step into that shoe. It's even more complicated when people go through procedures to have baby. For example, Dr. Fumi and Dr. Eve had C-section. The recovery phase of C-section, whether placenta previa, whether caused by placenta abruption, whether caused by some other like infections, endometritis, or retained product of conception. People needing extra maneuvers to get out. People start to wonder, why is this happening to me? Other moms are okay. There's nothing wrong. I always tell people, why not you? You're able to go through this. There's nothing new that you cannot go through. Any petition, any trials coming to you, you've got the power to overcome. So I tell moms, but as doctors, we're always on the move trying to warm up and down. So usually it's left to the midwives, as we call them here in UK, to fill into their shoes, and the support workers to fill into their shoes for mom, to help them to feed the baby, to help them to prepare the baby. And sometimes the moms, the new moms, don't even know how to look after baby, because babies don't come with manual. They don't come with manual, and unfortunately or fortunately, babies are not refundable. Once they come here, we can't send them back. We've got to look after them. And these babies are very demanding. It's their nature, because they have to survive. So they even till they marry, till they leave you, they are always still demanding from you your attention, your time. So that babies are like mortgages. So that shock, the attachment shock affects some moms. But like Dr. Fumi said, help is here. And what we'll try to link up with Ask the Website to ensure that we're able to partner, because this issue is becoming a problem. Even apart from even the postpartum depression,
yes,
on the journey to pregnancy,
yes,
on the journey to motherhood, people go through a lot, especially in Nigeria. When you're trying to get pregnant, when you do have a baby, the problem is magnified. That is to say, it's the woman's problem. And the society puts the woman in that vulnerable situation, and the woman feels so pressured, even before the baby comes, even when she's trying to get the baby. So she feels so pressured. The woman is so under attack from even the church. So we need to bring this thing today here on this table, and we need to say it over and over again, because some of our members are away now in the party in Lagos, in party in Nigeria. They're not here on Facebook.
Yeah.
So we keep this video running for the next 1 week, and we'll bring Dr. Fumi back and back before again to shout and to recycle this information over and over like a gospel. In fact, it's a gospel.
Yes.
Consistently, continuously, and persistently on this argh. Thank you, Dr. Fumi, once again, and so much. Thank you so much for Dr. Eve as well for being here and for finding the time to be here. I really appreciate you. Unfortunately, Dr. Chukwudi is not here. I think he's traveling over around the East Coast. He's busy with some school thing and academic stuff. So he's busy traveling. So he's not here. I tried to chat him, but he's aware we are doing this and we are sharing this. And on this group, we also have moderators. So if you're in this group, we'll create in this group, we have small subgroups, antenatal groups, trying to get pregnant, infertility. We're going to create a mental health section. And I'm hoping that Dr. Fumi and Dr. Eve will partner with us to ensure that this is all rolling, because I'm not very, very good with these things.
No, this is,
get this ball rolling. Hopefully we can reach out to more people. Yeah. So because a lot of people are going through this, definitely. Yeah. And the issue is that this thing is like a big kind of elephant in the room. Yeah. People have it. People don't talk about it. It's like money. Exactly. It's always in the pocket. People don't talk about it until it becomes obvious. Thank you so much.
There are some questions. Sorry, there are some questions that there are some questions. People answering questions. I'm trying to answer. Dr. E, do you have one question that you want to answer there? They have a lot of questions, but I think what we're going to do is after the meeting, we're going to come back. Myself and Dr. E, we're going to sift through those questions and be able to probably answer. And then the next time when I come in, I can start with those answers to those questions, because we're not going to be able to answer all the questions. If there's anyone who wants to come on camera, just one person to come on camera tonight is fine. If you want to come on camera tonight, I want to show Dr. Jide that too. If it's possible for anybody, if you want to come on camera, that's fine too. Dr. E, do you have one question? If you want to come on camera, just click. I see some of you, you have your green camera on. You have your green camera, it's on. I can see it now. You have your green camera. So if you do want to come on camera, you can let me know. And we just take that one. That would just be one person on camera.
So you said there's one question?
Yes, you can, yeah. If you find a question, one of the question. And if you want to come on camera, just tell us, just click that button. Click your camera. I see all of you have turned on your green camera on. So just click, if you want to come on, just click your camera and come on for a few to ask your question. Dr. Eve, do you have one of the questions that you want to
answer? What is baby blues?
Yeah. I did put an answer there, but you can answer that too.
Okay. Baby blues is a natural effect that women go through when they have a baby. It is perpetuated by our hormonal imbalances. As we go back into the normal balance of our estrogen levels are changing, so that kind of can give us a chemical imbalance, which causes us to, like, at any given moment wonder why we're crying. I don't know why I'm crying, I'm just crying. And so it can happen, but it also comes with your uncertainties about whether you can care for this baby. As you heard Dr. Princess Fumi Hancock and Dr. Alalade mentioned, you have questions, lots and lots of questions about your ability to take care of this new baby. And of course, that was my thing. She's small. I've got a 2-year-old. I don't have any help. I'm struggling. I just had a blood transfusion. I'm sick. I had surgery. So I'm really in a bad place. And so naturally, you're going to have those kind of blues. And that's natural for any mom.
I hope that says it all. That explains that baby blues is just something that you get. It's very short. It's shorter than actually going through postpartum. Postpartum after 5 days is become a postpartum depression. But anything less than 5 days, that's just baby blues. You're not sure about what's going on with your life. You're trying to adjust. Your body's trying to adjust. Mm-hmm. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you all for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Like Dr. Fumi said, if any of our members wants to come up live to talk about any personal experiences, ask obvious questions, we are here to answer, and
Yeah,
we'll try and give.
I see their cameras on. So
Yeah. Like Dr. Fumi said, see, these things are peculiar. You see, they don't, like she said again, the commonest things, because of the hormones changes, insomnia, which, like I said again, is one of the biggest problem, the number one symptom of any new parent, insomnia, and how to treat this. And like Dr. Eve said, a husband, the support system, the people around you, support system, people helping you with the baby. Maybe they take the baby off your hand maybe for some few hours for you to get a quick nap. That 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, 10, 30 minutes nap, 1 minute, 1 hour quick sleep is enough to change your life. It's enough to make things better. And the support system is good. It's very, very important, especially if you've got other kids to look after. You need people around you. You can't do this on your own. And the good thing, the way God designed this world, is that human beings don't live in isolation. We all live together, whether close family, whether extended family in Nigeria, in Africa, or whether people around you. If you're in the hospital, before you go, if you are in the postnatal ward, you need the midwives around you. Let them know. And also, like I said again, awareness is the most important thing, and the most important thing to grasp this problem. Like I said again, we need to let people around know that this is not a taboo. In Africa, we always like thinking anybody with mental problem, that person is under the control of some demons. Yes, I know demons exist. Yes, I know God exists. But also, because demons exist, then there's God to look after you. And God will use people like you, like me, angels, any people around you to look after, to help you to overcome this problem. And like I said again, you're not alone. So if you want to share a personal experience, somebody needs your story. So come up live. There's no, we will not, come up live, talk about this, and let us share it and let us understand. Even this is better. It's even good for us as well to be able to see from your perspective, because once we understand languages people use to describe these things, we will know how to even get at it even better and get it even much quickly and promptly resolved. So if you have any questions, put your questions up, okay?
Yeah, Rita says, is it normal for a pregnant woman to be dreaming every day, both negative and positive dreams? What do you think, Dr. Jide? Is it normal?
Yeah. Dreams are normal. But you see, when you break it down, when do we have dreams? There are 2 phases, or about 3 phases during sleep.
Yeah.
The most important 2 ones, the non-REM sleep and the REM sleep.
Yeah.
During that part of that sleep, there's what we call the reticular activating system. That's essentially the power grid of the human body, or the mind, or the soul, or the subconscious. If you don't sleep well, I'm trying. So it's a long time I've done this sleep thing when I was in about 20 years now. So I'm trying to bring it back. Dr. Fumi, can you help me here?
Yeah, here's the thing: the REM sleep, the REM part is what we want, right? Because that's where we're resting very well. We're well rested. Now, if you have been someone who's, you never get to your REM, that's somebody like me. I never get to my REM before I wake up. I never get to my REM because I'm so active in the daytime. I don't sleep well. I don't do all those kind of things. Yes, if you're not getting to your REM, it's quite possible that you're going to be doing some kind of dreaming, a whole lot of dreaming, and those dreams might have nothing to do with anything. It might not be. They don't necessarily have to be something that will point you to your future. You're just dreaming because you're not getting to that place where you have that rest. So, and if you're pregnant, right, you're having hormone problems, everything is changing, then maybe in your household, you're having money issue. Then in your household, you're having relationship issue. Then you're at home, you can't sleep, right? All those things affect your REM versus non-REM. And when it's affected, it is reflected in your dreams.
You're right. So yeah, it's not like thank you, Dr. Fumi, for rescuing me there. You've come to the rescue and you've basically helicoptered me from that zone. So like Dr. Fumi said, it's normal to dream. I'm sorry. Dreams come up when you have lack of sleep. So if you're having these awkward dreams, whether positive or negative, scary dreams, first of all, if you're not getting enough REM sleep, this will happen. And also, whether it's a bad dream, negative dream, dreams are usually remnants of our subconscious thoughts brought to the fore when we don't sleep well. So that could be a factor that could tilt the balance and make people prone to developing depression, especially postnatal depression. So if you're lacking sleep, first of all, use things around you, your husband, use things around you, your family. So in Africa, we all live together. So the people around you to take the baby off your hands from some certain time to get you to sleep, or help you with basic other things, maybe to wash baby clothes or to get the food ready, or or sometimes even if it's so bad, you might even need to go and stay with somebody that can look after you for about some 2 or 3 months before you come back. Or worst case scenario, you need to get medical attention. Another problem in Africa, in Nigeria especially, I can talk about Nigeria, is there's no enough access to mental health facility for care. For example, in Lagos, there's only one hospital. In Yaba. One hospital. And Lagos is about 15 million people.
Yeah.
And still increasing. Yeah. Kano is about 20 million. So on and so forth. So imagine 10 million people accessing one hospital. There's no way. Even angels will fear to go there. So the thing is that, and in Abeokuta, the next one is in argh. That one is overwhelmed. So despite all this, these things will still happen. It will happen. It may happen. It may not happen. Use the support people you have around you. Your husband, if your husband does not understand, because some African men don't understand anything what's happening, because some of them don't even know. It's not as if they are wicked. Some of them don't even know. And unfortunately, the fortunate thing is that people around us know. But sorry, Dr. Eve wants something.
Yeah, I want to just make a comment about the any nightmare type of dreams that you have, because I did in fact experience those, and those can tend to sometimes be associated with more post-traumatic stress. So you want to be very, very careful if you are experiencing those types of dreams, because they are a signifier or an indicator that something else is going on, and I beg of you to please get support. And yes, please reach out to your significant others and your friends and family and support systems. Communicate those things too, and your therapist or someone that you can confide in, because it's a very dangerous place to be, because that was more associated with post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Eve. Thank you for that, for chipping in that important, essential part of this discussion. Dr. Fumi, someone is asking.
Yeah, I think Dr. Chooks is answering. Dr. Chooks is there.
Dr. Chudi, if you're around, if you're in a comfortable zone and you want to come up live, honestly, we are waiting for you. Yeah. So if you're free.
He actually answered one of the questions, and he said, dreams can be a direct or indirect effect of mental health problems. Some people can have vivid, scary daydreams. Then depression can be multifaceted and can present with so many symptoms, including sleep disorders, which can lead to scary dreams. So which kind of piggybacks on what you just said, Dr. E?
Exactly. So there's a question. Someone's asking a question about what's the difference between postpartum depression and postpartum psychosis.
Ooh, okay. So well, I think the way I look at it, I said they're sisters. They're sisters, a little bit opposite of each other. The psychosis. Think about when you mentioned argh back in Nigeria, right? You mentioned people. You mentioned argh. You mentioned all those places, right? With depression is you are inside. It's an inward thing. You are retrieving from people, right? You are what's going on with depression is more in the inside. That's an easy way to put it. What's going on with depression is more in the inside. What's going on with psychosis is an outward thing. When somebody is in a psychotic mode, you will know in the outward, right? But depression is an inward thing. But psychosis is an outward. And it's also about the brain too. It's also about imbalances in the brain. You know, you can, okay, let me give you an example. The lady that I saw in the elevator, right? She had depression, but it moved into psychosis because when I got into the elevator with her and all I said was good afternoon. And she, oh, what, Jengbadu, all of them, look at them. Huh? They are worrying me. They're all over the place, worrying me. Did you see them? Did you see what I just heard? So someone who is in a psychotic mode, we start hearing things, we start seeing things, we start, doing things that are off. Whereas a depressed person just want people out of it. They don't want to be with people. They just want to stay in their bedroom and not come out. But a psychotic person might actually run out into the streets and do some things that he would not necessarily do if she wasn't dealing with that psychosis. So I'm trying to use a layman, description, instead of using medical description that people will not understand or be asking more questions about it. I'm trying to use just layman terms. So just look at it like depression, inward, psychosis, outward. All right. Okay, so I'm looking at Dr. Chukwudi here. He said, so here is the deal. Postpartum means after birth. All right. So it starts just after delivery, right? Which is what we discussed earlier, right? On the other hand, the other one, I didn't see what is the period of about 6 weeks, after childbirth, during which the mother's reproductive organs return to their original. See, Dr. Chukwudi wasn't here, but now he's actually here. Him coming here now is actually supporting all the things that we've been talking about. He's supporting all the things. He said the exact difference between the two concepts, right? So in essence, that is a specific period during postpartum phase. All right. So he's actually coming in and actually helping us to put even more details to this. Oh, I think you muted yourself, Dr. Jide.
Yes, I was trying to ensure that I don't allow my background voice to distort things.
Oh.
Yes, Dr. Chudi, putting that definition, making it more specific and making it broken down, adds flavor to the understanding and to the basics to ensure that, because most people watching us are not medically inclined. So it helps people back home to understand that this thing is just exactly what it is. And anybody going through this phase, anybody can go through it, at any point in most people's lives, at some point, you're going to go through some sort of shockingly depressing phase. For some, maybe job, maybe sudden life changes, sudden circumstance changes. Sometimes just even change from a good job to a better job can make people fall into depression. Yes, it's an upward change, but the adaptability, you trying to adapt, can even be depressing. I've seen athletes that have won Olympic gold. I was watching a podcast by Tony Robbins and this guy from Maryland. The most decorated athlete for Olympics. He's a popular swimmer. I've forgotten his name now. So I was watching his program on podcast recently. Listening to his talk on podcast recently. And the guy says, after a particular event, after all the lights are down, suddenly he becomes depressed. So even changing a job from $1 million job to $2 million job, as good as it is, can tilt people into depression. Just as we say now, someone having a baby, what other joyous moment would that be in a woman's lifetime? You've been trying to get pregnant, you're pregnant now, you had a baby now, suddenly everything changes. So it can happen to anybody. It can happen to the rich, it can happen to the old, it can happen to the young, it can happen to the poor. It can happen to anybody in China, in Nigeria, back home, anywhere, even in the diaspora. And in fact, with people here in the diaspora, the sudden cultural change, the sudden environmental change can tilt even African moms, Nigerian moms, anybody from Ghana, Zimbabwe, Kenya, Mozambique, Botswana, in the Western world, because that support is not there. So most immigrant women that I see are easily vulnerable to be a case study that could have postnatal depression. And most of the cases we see, almost about 1.5% of cases we see, is usually focused on or more prevalent in the immigrant movement. It seems Dr. Eve is gone. What happened?
Yeah.
She has to go. Okay. So that's good. So I said again, like Dr. Fumi said, it's important. It's important, and there's no other way. There's no other way we can overemphasize this, and there's no other way we can preach this gospel again and again. So if you have any further questions, please bring it up. Let's answer, and let's share ideas and share minds.
She's there. She's Dr. Eve is in the group now.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there are no further questions. Probably we need to run up. Like Dr. Fumi said, she'll be available again to come back here again. We're waiting to host you again. Yes. Maybe in the next few weeks, maybe in a fortnight, whenever you're free. And you let us know, we bring you. I know this was a very, very quick, impromptu schedule, but nevertheless, our people, our people on Facebook, on Ask Gynecologists, men and women and men, old and young, far and near, rich and poor, they need to hear this. Because by creating awareness, the constant recycled awareness every day about this peculiar problem, it's the most important thing. We never know what lives we're saying, what lives we're saving. We never know who is being impacted upon. We never know whose life will be changed tonight by you being aware to look after somebody else. Like I said again, awareness is key, and is the most important thing we're trying to do tonight here. So thank you once more for everybody for being here. I'll give the floor back to Dr. Fumi, and then we round up shortly. Thank you once more.
Thank you all so much. Thank you, Dr. Jide and Dr. Chukwudi. Thank you for having me here. Thank you, all of you that showed up and showed out. I think this is just the beginning of a wonderful and a terrific discussion, particularly in the area of Africa, my African people, where we live in almost like a darkness, a deliberate darkness where mental illness is concerned. And when you know what's going on in the world right now, we can no longer just deny and pretend and close our eyes that things are not happening. And so I think as we begin to go through discussions, you all begin to get understanding of it. You can apply those knowledge in your own homes and ultimately be able to help other people wherever it is that you are. Please do me a favor, look for us on Facebook, website DMP. I gladly accept the challenge to come back here, and I'm going to continue to come back as long as you always have me. There's so much to mental illness that is so related to even medical that, a lot of times you have some medical issues that are going on, and if the mental illness is not dealt with, the medical issue will not go away. I have people that have come to me that have diabetes, and you have people that they're screaming at them and say, well, you're not using your medication. You should use your medication. But this person is depressed. Now, if that depression is not handled, you can talk to your blue in the face. They'll come back and do the same thing, and they'll frustrate the doctor, frustrate themselves, frustrate their family, frustrate everybody around them. And so, but as we begin to understand what mental illness, the relationship between mental illness and then the physical wellness, I think that helps us to even take it, bump our health into another level. So thank you all so much for having me. If that's all, then I think I'm going to sign off here. I look forward to coming back again. And perhaps we're going to talk more about mental psychosis or even some other things, because frankly, there are other things. Anxiety is another big one. Anxiety is another big one that people don't even know the difference between anxiety and if they're having a indigestion. You know, there are people who think anxiety, oh, I'm having a heart attack or indigestion. It's one of the two. So we need to be able to understand the difference between when we're having, you know, anxiety, or is it a real issue with indigestion, or perhaps is it, you know, you're having a heart attack. And, you know, a lot of the times it's not a heart attack, it's just anxiety. So we're going to talk a little bit more about topics like that.
Yes. So thank you, Uchenna, Maureen, Obiora, Nwadison, for your comment here about the importance. And like everything you've said is about awareness, not just for the women, but also for the men. Once a man understands that their niece, their sisters, their wives, their moms, anybody close to them, their friends, can have this problem, and it can happen to anybody, people will be much, much better. In most diseases, most chronic diseases, diabetes, asthma, blood pressure, is the awareness that is the first key to cure or to even treat the problem. And that's why we are talking about this. So if you have any questions about anything we talked about tonight and you've missed this discussion and you're watching this and you're watching a recorded version of this discussion tonight or tomorrow, send your questions to us at Ask Gynecologists. I'll pull them together and we'll bring them to the next discussion on the table. If you can't get to me, you can get to any of our moderators. We have 6 moderators out there now, and they'll get your questions, pull them together and send it to me or to Dr. Fumi, and then we can discuss them. And as soon as possible, we'll bring Dr. Fumi back again, and we'll try as much as possible to discuss live case scenarios so that you understand that it's not just you. Why not me? Why you? No, it can happen to anybody. And the only way we can deal with this is for people to know and to reconstruct the understanding of this mental problem, that they are multifaceted, they are multifactorial, and they can happen to anybody, just like anything. And it's only by knowing how to help each other to understand awareness that this can be resolved. Someone asked a question that is high blood pressure. Can high blood pressure during pregnancy cause postpartum depression? High blood pressure itself is not linked to postpartum depression. But if you have other problems, complications that high blood pressure led to, it can be a trigger factor to postpartum depression.
That's right.
So for example, if someone has high blood pressure, they had to be maybe at 34 weeks, she has abortion, or she has placenta previa, or the blood pressure is not controllable, or for some reason, because of stress, anxiety, or depression, she's not taking her medication as she's supposed to. She can be tilted to have other complications that will lead to her being delivered early, or that she will need assisted maneuvers to get the baby out. That could make her or put her maybe under intensive unit, by the intensivist or high CU, we call it in UK here, for recovery. And that could just be a trigger factor with the stress to tilt her into postpartum depression. So it's not directly linked, but yes, it's indirectly linked. Yeah. And in fact, in the last 3-4 years on the study in UK here, we call it EMBRACE, EMBRACE. We study diseases that are becoming prevalent in moms, causing death, mental problem, severe depression, is now very close at par with cardiac problems.
That's so right. I believe that.
Real. It's like you can see light and you can feel it. The it is the non-tangible part, but it's real. It's like you go to church, you can't see God, but you know there's God. Yeah. So mental problem is so sublime. It happened to me, you know, when I had a sudden change in my life. Is about 6 years ago. I was so unhappy. And by talking to people all the time, now looking back, I even laugh at myself. But that's where it is. But by talking to people having listened here to me was just a cure, was just what I needed, even to today. Talking to people, sharing your experience helps people. And that's why we are here. So if you have any questions, send it all to us. We'll pull it together and we'll talk about them in our next discussion as soon as possible. And we'll let you know on time before we come up again so that you're ready and you're all well kitted to ensure that your data, your phone is well charged and you can listen and to share and to listen and to share and to listen to ensure that we all improve our lifestyle. Thank you once more, Dr. Fumi, for being here.
Dr. Chukwudi said it is high time mental health stigmatization is banished, especially in Africa, with Nigeria as top priority country. Postpartum blues and depression are mental health problems and should be treated as such. No shame, no blame.
This is wonderful. That's a wonderful. No, I think Dr. Chukwudi, can you help us to copy that particular stuff you just written out here? We need to use it in our next discussion for the for the next discussion. Thank you.
He also said the major problem in a place like Nigeria is misinformation and health rumors. So everything is spiritualized. Yeah, just like what we were talking about earlier. All mental health problems are considered spiritual attack.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's true. Dr. Eve said we must remove the stigma.
So in the next discussion, we could bring it up in the next few weeks. We'll be talking about depression, how it affects infertility, how it affects that journey to motherhood, and how it affects the mom during the antenatal period. Like I said again, these things there's a big continuous spectrum. It can affect during the trying to get pregnant phase, during the antenatal phase, and they come with different names, with different characterization. So in the next discussion, hopefully with the questions we're going to get, we'll talk about the whole rainbow, the whole spectrum of all this multifaceted, this monster, and to let you know that it is real, it's not a shame, and there's a cure, and there's support here, there's support within you, there's support network everywhere. Once people know, once people are aware, everybody wants the best for anybody going through these things. But if people don't know how to help, then there's a problem. So in our next discussion, we'll be talking about the important symptoms to watch out for. And once you see those things, what you should do to help people. So next session will be more practical. This is kind of a deep in the pond for you to understand that this is real. We'll be bringing this to the fore. So we're talking more cases about how these things happen during the infertile period, when you're trying to get pregnant, during the antenatal period, and also during the postpartum period, which we've talked about today, and the things you should watch out for, and when you see them, how to help people. So
that is a great topic.
Yeah, so that we can make this better.
Chukwudi said, look at the number of people that showed interest in this topic. See, less than 50 out of 1.5 million plus. Why? Because they have a myopic outlook. They just want to have babies. Nothing else matters. So when you just when you're focused on, I want to have baby, I want to have baby, but then there are other things that are going on in your body. There are other things that's going on in your system. You know, you're getting depressed because you can't have the baby. You've been praying and fasting, right? For how many years you can't have the baby, and you're getting depressed, and that is not helping you either. So it's amazing, you know. As a woman, you must be well informed. You will become more powerful when you are well informed about your health.
Yes. Thank you once more.
Well, I think, are we signing off now?
Yes, shortly. Okay. Once you give me the say so.
Okay. So I think I'm done. Let me just quickly share this again, just one more time. Let me just quickly share this. So for those of you who have questions, like you said, please ask, put the questions. It's going to put, Dr. Jude is going to put all the questions together, and then we'll figure out a way of me coming back to also answer some of those questions, perhaps in the next one. We just have a new, platform where there are more questions that's going to be answered, but I'm going to be coming more inside here. So I think majority of the work is going to be done inside of your group here. Again, Dr. Chukwudi and Dr. Jide, thank you so much for having me. And
you're welcome.
I look forward to coming back again.
Sure, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
You let me know when you want me to sign off, and then I'll sign off.
Yes. So I will be in touch with you to know.
No, you stay, but you just tell, because I need to take it out of your group first, but you need to stay here first. so
Okay.
I can take it. So I can take it off, so it doesn't go black any kind of way there. So
I see.
you let me know when you want me to stop it.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
So everybody, thank you once more again for being here. Thank you once more for attending and listening. If you've missed any part of the discussion, you can watch the video over again. So we're signing out now, and I'd love to see you more again. Thank you, Dr. Fumi. God bless you so much. And also help me extend my thanks from the ATG family worldwide, from Dr. Chukwudi most especially, and our team at the moderators, that we thank her for being here. We appreciate you. We love you, Dr. Eveangel. I don't know which state you're talking from, but it's wonderful to see you, and it's wonderful to see that people are working together for the common good of humanity. So thank you once more, Dr. Eveangel. God bless you. Dr. Eveangel Savage, God bless you. So bye-bye, everybody. Good night, and love to see you soon. Bye-bye.
So you hold on. You hold on a second. So